In this video, we will demonstrate how to install the Raspberry Pi for the ACCE version and how to install the battery. First, let's start with the installation of Raspberry Pi 4B. Please check the model you have purchased. Raspberry Pi 4B and Raspberry Pi 5 adopt different cameras, so the installation steps are also different. First, unscrew these 4 screws on the product mounting plate. After unscrewing, place the pan tilt aside, attach the thermal tapes to the back of the cooling fan, and fix it and Raspberry Pi 4B. Pick up the camera ribbon cable on the pan tilt, ensuring that the metal side of the camera ribbon cable faces toward the HDMI port. After connecting to the camera interface, press the black latch to secure the camera ribbon cable firmly. Insert the cable from the cooling fan into the audio driver board, and insert the Raspberry Pi 4B into the audio driver board through the 40-pin header. Connect the Type-A interface of the product and insert it into the USB interface of Raspberry Pi 4B. Fix the cross-round head screws M1.4x10. Fix the Raspberry Pi 4B and the product, then use the previously removed 4 screws to fix the pan tilt back to the product. The Raspberry Pi 4B is now installed. Next, let's introduce the installation of the Raspberry Pi 5 for the ACCE model. First, unscrew these 4 screws on the product mounting plate, and then place the pan tilt aside. Attach the thermal tapes to the chip of Raspberry Pi 5. Remove the film from the thermal tapes and fix the cooling fan and Raspberry Pi 5. Insert the cable from the cooling fan into the interface of Raspberry Pi 5. And use the nylon screws provided with the cooling fan to fix the cooling fan. The screws used in the video are not the ones provided. Insert the Raspberry Pi 5 into the audio driver board through the 40-pin header, and use black metal countersunk screws KM 2.5x8 to fix the Raspberry Pi 5 and the product. Connect the Type-A interface of the product to the USB interface of Raspberry Pi 5. Next, disconnect the camera wiring. After disconnecting, insert it into the product. After tidying up, insert the camera interface into the female port of the Type-A male-to-female 10 cm 90 degrees bend cable. After inserting, tidy up the cable, and then insert the Type-A male port into the Raspberry Pi 5. Finally, use the 4 screws removed earlier to fix the pan tilt back to the product. Tidy up the camera cable and you can insert it into the RaspRover. The Raspberry Pi 5 is now installed. Finally, let's introduce how to install the battery. First, unscrew these 4 screws on the chassis of the RaspRover. After unscrewing, disassemble the bottom plate of the RaspRover. Then place the battery into the battery module. There are positive and negative marks on the battery module. Be careful not to reverse the poles of the battery when inserting them into the battery module. Charging is prohibited if the battery is reversed. Finally, use the 4 previously removed black metal cup head hexagon screws M3x6 to fix the previously removed parts back to the product. The battery is now installed.